generally speaking, it's no secret that AI is becoming more and more prevalent in e-commerce, and also more and more prevalent in the day-to-day lives of people working in tech. I was just curious to get a little bit into like how you use AI in your day-to-day work.
I actually want to start with like how I see it philosophically. There's a lot of nuance here, but I'm just going to look at the two primary camps here of AI enthusiasts versus AI doubters. Or I don't know, we could even say haters potentially. Like there's a there's a spectrum here, but like you go all the way from people who are like, I'm never touching that crap to I'm all in, orienting my entire life around AI, right? I am an adopter, like an early-ish adopter. I mean, I think I use it more than I realize I do. Like if I go back through and look at my conversation history, for example, like I've got every single day I've got a ton of things I'm using AI for. And so I think where I fall on this is like I actually in the adopter camp, there's those who look at AI as a replacement for people, and then there's those who look at AI as an enhancement for people. And I'm very much the latter. I very much want AI to be something that enhances people, not replaces people. And so this is an interesting like that then obviously like has an impact on how I use it. So um I think of it in terms of what's something that I know how to do, don't want to take the time to do, or don't have the time to do, and ultimately would have passed it on to somebody else. But still feel like I'm kind of an expert at that thing, if that makes sense. And so those are really the things that I end up using AI for. And so I spend a lot of time using AI or not a lot of time. I use AI quite a bit to speed up the things that I'm doing, give myself more efficiency, do all that kind of stuff. And ultimately, like it makes me as an individual contributor better at what I do. And that's my individual contributions look a little bit different in my role, but like it can even be like sometimes I'll just be like, hey, I have to have this conversation with this person, and I'm trying to figure out how to like frame this in the right way, and like here's what I'm thinking. How can I like it can even just be that where it's like I'm actually like thinking about AI in terms of how do I engage better with individual people, thinking about it in terms of like I've got this like strategy problem I'm trying to solve, and I just feel stuck on this thing. Like, what are ways around this? Like all that kind of stuff where it just like helps me get through problems faster.
What would you say, like you're obviously like you think that AI is a tool that's not meant to replace people. What would you say are like the negative consequences of a company that comes in, they think that they can, replace all of their like, some of their workforce with AI tools. What do you think the negative consequences of that would look like?
There's a world in which you could have a bunch of redundancy in a specific role, and maybe you have a ton of people that actually aren't like effective at getting their jobs done because they don't have the mentorship, leadership, all that kind of stuff that they need. And so maybe using AI to replace some of those people so that the other people actually get a better experience might actually be a good thing, right? The other way of like the other extreme could be that you actually get into a situation where um I don't know, like the extreme version of a support system where it's like really hard to access a person, right? Where the organization feels totally inhuman because it's actually like not possible to talk to a human because you have AI doing all of the interactions that can happen with a customer. I like for me, if let's say I'm calling an airline because I'm trying to figure out an issue with my ticket. Like I want to talk to a person. Like that is like if I'm gonna call you on the phone, it's because I want to talk to a person. I already exhausted your help docs. I exhausted your chat, whatever that is. Like I'm calling you because I need to talk to a person, and I don't want to spend a bunch of time going back and forth through a bunch of like, automated systems. AI can make those things better, but at the end of the day, it's still an automated system. It's not a person with empathy, and I mean, it can feel like it has empathy sometimes, but it's not real, right? And ultimately, like you're going to train AI to a model and formula and system. And when you need to break out of that system, you need a human. And I think ultimately, like that, those types of organizations, I think, have the potential to become even more inhuman and become really not like not somebody you want to work with.
On the positive front, on the more positive front, I think that, being in the space that we are with reviews, loyalty, life cycle, I think that there's so many great untapped opportunities to use AI in terms of even just reviews. Um, I'm wondering specifically for that, like how do you see AI changing the reviews landscape in the near future?
Right now, what I see in review providers is summaries. And the summaries I think are useful, but the summaries are still generic. Like they don't necessarily speak to your specific problem. And so I think actually like the biggest thing that you can do, and most impactful thing you can do with AI in terms of um, the engagement that a consumer may have with a review is actually just surfacing the right reviews to the right person. And there's a few different ways that we're going to be doing that at Stamped, actually. And so there's not just one way of doing that, in my opinion. There's a few different things you can do. And I think even like what we will be showing initially is going to be probably just the start of that. I think ultimately, as these technologies get better, as our experience doing this gets better, we'll be able to do even more. So that's one thing that I think is really helpful. And the other thing too is um, I think it just is going to be really helpful with data cleaning, for lack of a better term. It's not quite the right way to describe it, but it's hard to say, like, I using keywords basically in reviews, it's really hard to actually like say, hey, these things mean this, these other things mean that. And so when you can use AI to think of it in terms of how a human would think about these things and then group them, that's going to be really impactful as well. And so I think like from just a reporting and insight standpoint, from the way in which we understand this data, the way in which we understand who we're talking about, who's talking about these things, what groups of people care about, all of that. I think it's going to become really interesting, and AI is like it's going to unlock so much more capabilities in these spaces than it has existed in the past.